Later today, key vote on the big Senate immigration bill that's been up for discussion the last week or two. There are some who are saying that it looks like it's gaining support among Republicans, but there's one Republican who says he will vote against it. That's Senator David Vitter of Louisiana, who joins us now on the line. Senator, how are you?
Good. Good to be with y'all, Brian and Larry.
All right, so why is it that Republicans are now beginning to line up behind this bill? What happened?
Well, there's a fig leaf for enforcement in the Corker-Hoven Amendment, and I think a lot of Republicans were looking to vote for the bill, were wanting to vote for the bill, and this enforcement fig leaf could be the excuse. You know, I think the more we delve into the details of the amendment, the worse it's going to sound. So time is a significant issue. Unfortunately, you know, this vote is really being rushed tonight. We weren't privy to the details of the amendment and the actual language until late Thursday, or actually it was Friday morning. So over 1,100 pages long. I've been poring over it over the weekend. My staff has, many others have, but I don't know if everybody in the Senate has been doing the same.
What do you find in there that you dislike?
Well, I've been tweeting a lot of it, so y'all can follow that by my tweets. The main objection is simply that it doesn't change the fatal flaw of the bill. An amnesty, a huge amnesty, is granted almost immediately at the front end under this legislation. Enforcement only happens or doesn't happen after that. And that's the big mistake we've made before, including in the 1986 immigration overhaul. You know, we've seen this movie. It doesn't end well. It doesn't fix enforcement. We need to do that first and verify that before we do anything else.
And is it also true that Janet Napolitano, or whoever happens to be the Secretary of Homeland Security, can basically say, yeah, I know that you had all these rules about securing the border, but I don't like those ideas, so I'm not going to enforce them?
Well, some yes, some no. There's all sorts of authority for the Secretary, and that concerns me about the underlying bill, and that concerns me about the Corker-Hoven Amendment. From the beginning in this bill, there have been provisions that have been waivable by the Secretary. Not all of them, but significant ones that go to a lot of these issues. So that's been a major concern of mine from the beginning.
Senator David Vitter, you just mentioned that you've been poring over the bill and reading the 1,000-plus pages, and I wonder, I heard that in fact, wait, before I even ask you that, how many of your colleagues do you think are actually reading this bill? Just a hunch?
I don't know. I couldn't begin to guess. Hopefully their staff certainly are, and briefing them today. I'm doing both. I'm going through it personally, but I have a bunch of staff members assigned to sections of the bill because, again, it's over 1,100 pages, and we have one weekend to really fully digest it and ask questions about it.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. Harry Reid puts a big deadline on getting this vote, but he won't put a deadline on building the fence. But David, I've read, Senator Vitter, that there is something in there that basically this amnesty provision or legalization, whatever euphemism you want to use, it's not just for everyone who is in the country illegally right now, but this is sort of a amnesty now and forever kind of provision, that it's a perpetuating amnesty. Did I read that correctly?
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's a 2.5, 3-year enforcement holiday, and so I think that's going to act as a message far and wide. Everybody come on in. We're granting amnesty. There's an enforcement holiday, so I think you could see a virtual flood of folks in the first 2.5, 3 years under this bill in particular. Whether enforcement is really going to be meaningful after that, I don't know. It's certainly not going to be proved before we grant this huge amnesty.
Tell me about what is being described by some as the Harry Reid casino kickback.
Yeah, there are all sorts of special provisions in this bill, and there are several regarding the state of Nevada. He has a tourism casino-related commission that he got in prior federal law. This bill makes it permanent, nothing to do with immigration, nothing whatsoever. As I've tweeted and gotten the word out previously, the Gang of Eight, almost every one of them had specific, what I would call earmarks in the bill related to top priorities in their state. For Marco Rubio, it was the cruise ship industry. For Michael Bennett of Colorado, it was the skiing industry. So there are all sorts of things like that hidden in the 1,100-page amendment and the 1,800-page bill.
So it's larded up.
Oh, yeah. There are very, very specific provisions like that, of course, for the leading proponents. Many of them I would call earmarks, who are very, very targeted for individual members and individual states.
Senator David Vitter is our guest, of course, Republican from Louisiana. And if I could just shift focus just for a moment, you're the ranking member on the Environment and Public Works Committee, and
right.
We're told now that President Obama is going to give a major address tomorrow on climate change. He says he's going to outline a national plan to reduce carbon pollution, prepare our country for the impacts of climate change, and lead global efforts to fight it. I wonder if you have any idea of what exactly he's going to propose tomorrow, and also how this, in your opinion, affects the pending decision on Keystone.
Well, I think what he's going to propose is more of the same. You know, he has had a very aggressive policy in this direction, not going to Congress, not trying to pass cap and trade, not trying to pass a carbon tax, but just doing things by administrative fiat. And so I think he's doubling down on that, both on the policy and on trying to do things by administrative fiat, including in many cases, in my opinion, when it's beyond his proper legal authority. What's the impact on Keystone? I have no idea. He's still stuck in the mud, dragging his feet on Keystone 5-6 years and counting. So it's anybody's guess.
So what's your guess about the immigration bill today, and what happens when this gets sent over to the House?
Well, first of all, I'm certainly not ready to concede that we're going to send it anywhere.
You think it can still be blocked?
Yes, if the American people really get involved. That's what made all the difference in 2007, the last time we took up a big amnesty bill, and that turned on a dime. That turned in 1 to 2 days because the American people, at the end, when it was on the floor, the stage we're at right now, really got keyed in and got involved and flooded their senators' telephone lines with calls and flooded their offices with emails. So this isn't over by a long shot, but certainly Harry Reid's trying to rush this vote on this Corker-Hoven amendment tonight. I would urge people to call their senators and say to vote no on that, and then he's trying to finish this up probably on Thursday or Friday.
All right. Senator David Vitter from Louisiana, thank you so much for joining us. Greatly appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Great to be